Hello and welcome to etbfsi.com. My name is Amol Dete, and I'm in conversation with Veena Sivaramakrishnan from the Shardula Merchant Mangaldas. Veena, welcome to this discussion.
Thanks, Amul.
So when we look at the finance minister's, budget and major viewpoints specifically for the BFSI sector, the ARC AMC looks really important. I think somehow they have dropped the idea of bad bank or renamed it to the ARC and AMC. What I would like to learn from you is considering the major defaults, considering the lot of issues with the current resolution process, how helpful this will be for the banks in terms of recovery, in terms of resolution.
Thanks, Amul. I think this has been in the works for quite some time. We have heard about this from the time of Project Sashakt itself. And the AMC ARC structure has been quite attractive. Primarily, it will have two main advantages. One is it would lead to competition. It would, because there is now an expectation that there will be competition in this market. So the price discovery would get better, and especially because NPAs don't really have a mechanism by which they are traded. Like if you look at globally, there is a loan trading platform for NPAs which does not exist in India. So the ARC AMC structure in that context gains significance because it just means that there could be better price discovery and it could lead to competition. And with players like AIFs coming into the fray, it could also be the first step for other players to come into this market, such as FPIs, etc., which is not currently permitted directly. So I think this would be a positive step, and certainly the first step for opening up the NPA market in the days to come.
Right. Obviously, I mean, NPA has been a big issue for all the banks
Yes.
specifically, and more for the public sector banks. But if you could tell us more about how will it actually work, because the current framework, even there are current ARCs present right now, but they could not, what can we say, could be a biggest alternative for the banks in terms of the resolution. It's only when the IBC came into picture actually bank got some relief out of it. So how actually this framework will work? How will be the how will it be executed?
I think it is interesting that the budget talks about a combination of ARC and AMC, because what happens typically in the ARC structure today, without the amendments having come through, is that the ARC purchases the bad debt. It looks at recovering it from the borrower directly. The act of resolution, and I'm talking obviously outside of IBC, the act of resolution by an ARC is fairly limited, in the sense that it's not that it doesn't happen, but it's just that it's not very common. With an AMC coming into the picture in this arena now, it means that there is a specialist who is in the fray and who can provide the know-how on actual resolution outside of IBC. So the two factors which would play a significant role is having an expert AMC in the picture, which will be able to actually play a role in how to restructure an account and therefore arrive at a resolution. And two, because this will be outside of IBC, the general sense of who is not qualified to submit a resolution plan and things like that will not really be applicable. So in that sense, a company will be able to submit its own resolution plan and continue with its own management in this structure, and have a meaningful resolution.
I think that sounds very interesting, Veena. But do you think that there should be any particular time frame? Which, I mean, the biggest success which the IBC came with is also because it had a duration. I mean, in many cases, obviously, the timeline could not be, what you can say, justified. But still there was some timeline. So, do you think in this particular case as well there should be, timeline, looking at the considering, drawback of the cases which happens at the NCLT, and the deluge might happen after the, when the actually IBC suspension is, what you can say, uncapped or something like that.
See, Amol, the provisioning norms don't apply to ARC in that sense, right? Because the banks and NBFCs have stricter provisioning norms in that sense. For an ARC, given that this would be a developing market, and given that this is the first formal sort of a means by which this would be introduced, I don't think putting a timeline would work, because it's also dependent on what kind of accounts actually get referred to here, right? I mean, if you are looking at account of over 5,000 crores, the highest probability is that the lenders would actually want to take it into IBC and not necessarily look at a resolution outside. But if we are looking at the 2,000 to 5,000 crore type of accounts, there probably this would be quite beneficial, because especially with the cooperating promoter, and especially post COVID, where liquidity stress is actually the main issue and not necessarily any other color on the company as such. So I don't think initially there would be a need for a stringent timeline to be put in, for sure.
Okay, there's one of the bold move that I mean, we there were a lot of people who are murmuring about it, and there were a lot of discussions happened earlier that the PSP, or specifically the public sector bank, should be privatized. But now there is a clear, what you can say, an indication that they would like to go for two PSPs, under the privatization label. One, how important this move is, and how do you think the market or the investment banking or the legal community will look at it?
I think the legal community will sort of be indifferent, because at the end of the day, most of the public sector banks, in terms of just how they function, especially the bigger ones, are no different from any other big private sector bank today. But when we look at what this means, it also means that the government is looking at a private player to come into the fray and provide for it's not just fresh capital, it's also fresh intellectual capital, and the ability to take decisions and take calls on certain products which are otherwise not very common in the Indian market. According to me, when we look at a private sector bank and compare it to a public sector bank, the main difference we see is the ability to take risk, and that is that is going to be quite a good signal, and we will see that increasing. Obviously, it will take some time to actually fructify, but we will see that coming out once these changes are implemented. I think
Okay.
yes, for investment bankers, it would be a huge change in that sense.
Right. I mean, all the investment bankers will try to approach now the finance ministry, and we'll see. But what is your guess? What could be those two banks?
I don't have any guess on a specific name as such, but I think it would be the banks which see, some of the public sector banks have been under the prompt corrective action framework of RBI,
Right.
and some of them have had certain governance issues also in the past. I think it won't be these banks. It would be one of the banks which has been healthy and which has been. It may not obviously be the bigger ones, but it will probably be somewhere in the mid range, who are less controversial and have not really been in the limelight for wrong reasons.
Right. Very valid points. In fact, let me give you get your perspective here on one more point. The PSPs has large employee base. A lot of unions are there, and there are always mismatches. People do not come with one conclusion, or it takes really ages. Though it's owned by the government, there are a lot of shareholders. Even employees are a shareholder in a way, and he has his views. Do you think it would be legally challenging for the government to actually divest the stake and make it a private company or private bank going ahead?
I don't know. I mean, if we look at just the last year which has gone by, right, we
Mhm.
saw two significant mergers in the banking industry. We saw SBI Yes Bank, and we have just recently seen DBS LVB. I think after a point of time, it is it obviously there are obvious differences in terms of functioning, etc. But something like this puts a huge challenge on the management team to ensure that the right message is passed. And if you have the right management team, the transition is actually much simpler.
And my last question specifically is about the DFIs. The government is actually very aggressively talking about development of the financial institutions and specifically building an infrastructure fund. How important this new move is specifically considering the current environment.
I think given what the country needs from a very, very 30,000 feet perspective, in terms of development, is infrastructure. And when we talk about DFIs, I think the focus itself is very different of these institutions. and having a specialized entity to do that. It's not that India as a country has tried that in the past and it has worked also. But bringing in a new entity, especially with the kind of capital that the budget has promised for such an entity, would probably provide a boost in terms of, because once a new entity is set up, it will look at avenues to to deploy these funds, and given how much of projects is stuck, I think it would be a positive step.
Right, Veena, thank you so much for your inputs, and thank you so much for joining at etbfsr.com and sharing your perspective. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aman.